The Little Red Book of Selling, 12.5 Principles of Sales Greatness, by Jeffrey Gitomer. You know those moments when something so obvious suddenly clicks, and you wonder how you missed it for so long, like a secret that was hiding right there in plain sight the whole time? Here's one of those secrets, and it's a beautiful paradox that changes everything about business. People don't like to be sold, but they absolutely love to buy. Just think about that for a second. Nobody enjoys feeling pushed or cornered into a decision. The instant we sense a salesperson cares more about their commission than about us, we throw up our defenses. It's pure human instinct. But flip that around. We all love discovering something that solves our problem, brings us joy, or makes life easier. We love the feeling of choosing, of owning that decision. We love to buy. So if people hate being sold but love to buy, then the way most people approach sales is completely backwards. It's like pushing against a wall we built ourselves. What if there was a different way? What if, instead of trying to sell, you created an environment where people actually want to buy? A space built on trust, real value, and genuine helpfulness? That question sits at the heart of a legendary little book in the sales world. It's not some thick academic textbook. It's small, bold, and bright red. It's called The Little Red Book of Selling, written by a guy named Jeffrey Gitomer. Gitomer isn't some ivory tower theorist. He's a salesman who made millions, not through sleazy tricks or manipulation, but by understanding something fundamental about human nature. He writes with the no-nonsense honesty of someone who learned his lessons in the trenches, and his central message is this: the secret to selling forever has almost nothing to do with traditional selling. By the time we're done here today, you're going to understand the powerful mental shift that separates the top 1% of salespeople from everyone else. This isn't about memorizing clever lines or gimmicks. This is about understanding why people buy, the importance of your mindset, and how to build relationships so strong that sales become the natural, easy outcome. You'll learn not just how to make a sale, but how to make people want to buy from you, again and again. Most people getting into sales learn the same tired formula. They get a product, a script, and a quota. They're told to prospect, present, and close. They're taught over and over how to sell. But Jeffrey Gitomer says this is the biggest mistake you can make. He argues that the question, how do I sell, is a billion times less important than this much simpler question: why do people buy? Because once you understand the real reasons people choose to spend their money, you can stop selling altogether. You just create the conditions where they naturally choose to buy, and that changes everything. So why do they buy? It's not your slick presentation. It's not your glossy brochure, and it's almost never because you have the lowest price. Gitomer says the real reasons are far more human and far more powerful. People buy because they like the salesperson. He calls this the single most powerful element in any sales relationship. Liking builds trust. Trust leads to buying. They buy because they believe you and have confidence in you. They buy because they feel you genuinely understand their needs and want to help them succeed, not just pocket a commission. In short, they see you as a valuable resource, not just another salesperson. If you get this, you realize the first thing you need to sell isn't a product at all. It's you. And that starts with what Gitomer calls principle number 1, kick your own ass. This isn't just a catchy phrase, it's the foundation of everything. Gitomer is brutally honest here. Nobody's going to do the work for you. Your boss won't motivate you, your company won't hand you success, and the world doesn't owe you anything. If you want an insurance policy for success, you have to write it yourself, pay the premiums yourself, and name yourself the beneficiary. This means you stop complaining. You stop blaming the economy, the competition, or your company for your lack of results. If your company won't train you, train yourself. If they won't buy you a laptop, go buy one yourself. You take complete responsibility for your education, your motivation, and your success. It's about developing what he calls a yes attitude. This goes beyond just being positive. A yes attitude means every interaction starts from a place of possibility, even when you first hear no. It's a deep belief that you can and will find a way. It's like the little engine that could, constantly whispering, I think I can, I think I can. Once you've mastered this internal game, you can tackle the external world. Which brings us to the next core idea. Prepare to win, or lose to someone who is. Gitomer shares a wonderful story about a mentor who told him, the workday starts the night before. While your competition zones out watching television reruns, you're preparing. But what does real preparation look like? It's not about polishing your PowerPoint or memorizing product features. That's amateur hour. True preparation is about them, not you. It means you've studied their website, searched their name online, read articles about their industry. You walk into meetings knowing something about their business, so you can ask intelligent questions instead of the third dumbest question in sales. So, tell me a little about your business. Walking in with that question is like wearing a sign that says, I was too lazy to do my homework. This deep preparation naturally flows into building your reputation long before you walk into any room. Gitomer puts it this way, personal branding is sales. It's not who you know, it's who knows you. Think about that. In our noisy world, how do you stand out? Not by being another salesperson begging for 5 minutes of someone's time. You do it by becoming a person of value. A resource. Someone who gives away ideas and helps so freely that people start seeking you out. This is the secret to eliminating cold calls forever. Instead of chasing customers, you attract them. Gitomer lives this himself. For over a decade, he wrote a weekly newspaper column in a free email newsletter called Sales Caffeine, giving away his best ideas. He never made a single sales call to book a seminar. They all called him. Why? Because he'd already provided them with value. He'd established his brand as the sales guy. You can do the same in your field. Give free talks, write articles, share insights online. Be so helpful that when people in your industry have a problem, your name is the first one that pops into their head. When you're positioned right, you don't compete on price, you compete on reputation. And you'll find yourself meeting with decision makers, not people who have to check with their boss. This idea of giving first is so central to Gitomer's philosophy that it deserves its own principle. It's all about value, it's all about relationship, it's not all about price. Most companies talk about value added. Gitomer says this is nonsense. It implies customers have to buy something first, then you'll toss in a little extra. His philosophy is value first. Give them something valuable, an idea, a contact, an insight, with zero expectation of return. That's how you build real relationships. That's how you make friends. And as he famously says, all things being equal, people want to do business with their friends. All things being not quite so equal, people still want to do business with their friends. When you lead with value and friendship, price becomes secondary. He illustrates this perfectly with a car dealership example. One dealer sells the car for $100 less. But when you need service, it's a nightmare. You're waiting forever, they don't have the part, you have to come back next week. At that moment, you don't remember the $100 you saved. You'd gladly have paid $1,000 more for a smooth, respectful experience. When there's no value, all that's left is price. But when you sell on value and relationship, you attract the 60 to 70% of customers willing to pay for it, and you avoid the cheap customers who are always a headache anyway. Building these valuable relationships doesn't just happen in the office. It happens out in the world, which is why Gitomer insists, it's not work, it's network. He sees networking not as a chore, but as a vital, mandatory part of the job. It's where you turn cold calls into warm introductions. It's where you meet people face to face first, building rapport before you ever ask for a meeting. The rule is simple. Go where your customers and prospects go. Join their trade associations, attend their charity events, show up at business journal breakfasts. But don't just attend, participate, lead a committee, get known. The goal is spending 75% of your time at these events with people you don't know yet. After all, as he asks, how many lifelong friends have you made from a cold call? All right, so you've done the inner work, you've prepared, you've built your brand and network, now you've finally earned a meeting. What do you do when you're sitting across from someone? First, make sure you're sitting across from the right person. This is Principle 6. If you can't get in front of the real decision maker, you suck. Sounds harsh, but it's a wake-up call. If you hear, "This looks great, let me share this with my boss," you haven't had a sales meeting. You've had a practice session. You just wasted your time. Real decision makers care about profit and productivity, while lower-level employees often just focus on price. So how do you find the real decision maker? You ask the most powerful qualifying question there is. How will this decision be made? When they answer, follow up with, "Then what?" Keep asking, "Then what?" 4 or 5 times, and like magic, the entire process and the names of the real players will reveal themselves. Once you're in front of that real decision maker, your job isn't to talk, it's to listen, and to ask brilliant questions. This is the heart of the sale. Engage me, and you can make me convince myself. Sales are made or lost based on the quality of your questions. Dumb questions get dumb answers. Questions like, "Who are you currently using?" or "Are you satisfied?" are dead ends. They lead to conversations about price and competition. But powerful questions make prospects think in new ways. Instead of asking an insurance prospect, "What kind of life insurance do you have?" you ask, "If you passed away tomorrow, how would the house payments be made? How would your children go to college?" See the difference? The first is about your product. The second is about their life. When you ask smart questions, they think you're smart. You stop being a salesperson and become a consultant. The prospect starts selling themselves because your questions guide them to their own conclusions. But the conversation isn't all serious business. The best salespeople know how to connect on a human level, which leads to one of Gitomer's most famous principles. If you can make them laugh, you can make them buy. Laughter is the sound of agreement. It's mutual approval. It breaks down walls and builds rapport faster than any sales technique on earth. This isn't about telling canned jokes. That's dangerous, and often not funny. It's about telling stories, especially self-deprecating ones. Gitomer talks about his own hair loss, not from vanity, but as a source of humor. By poking fun at himself, he puts everyone at ease. He argues that a friendly, funny salesperson will beat a professional one almost every time. Professionalism can feel cold and distant. Humor is warm and human. It's not hard sell, it's heart sell. And the final piece of the conversation puzzle is about standing out from the crowd. It's Principle 9. Use creativity to differentiate and dominate. In a world where most products and services look like commodities, the only true differentiator is you and your creativity. This could be in your opening question, your follow-up, or even your voicemail message. Gitomer spends pages hilariously mocking the standard voicemail. "Hi, you've reached Dave. I'm either on my phone or away from my desk." No kidding, that's pathetic. Instead, he challenges you to be creative. Have your kid leave the message. "Hi, this is Dave's costly accident, Jason. He's out earning my college tuition. You can help by leaving a message that includes an order. Or use a customer testimonial. Something memorable. Something that makes people talk." Creativity turns forgettable interactions into remarkable ones. Now, as conversations wind down, you'll often feel a moment of hesitation from the buyer. There's a fear, an unspoken risk holding them back. Your job is to uncover it and eliminate it. Reduce their risk, and you'll convert selling to buying. The biggest barrier to a sale is often the buyer's unspoken fear. What if it doesn't work? What if my boss gets mad? What if I find it cheaper next week? These are the invisible walls. Instead of pushing harder, simply ask, "What's the risk here? And what's the reward?" By helping them list the risks, then systematically removing each one with guarantees, refunds, or social proof, you make the decision to buy feel safe, easy, and smart. And the most powerful risk remover of all is the final piece of the puzzle. When you say it about yourself, it's bragging. When someone else says it about you, it's proof. This is the power of testimonials. A satisfied customer is the most powerful person on your sales team. They can outsell you 100 to 1 because they have what you never will: complete objectivity. When they tell a prospect, "I was worried about the price too, but it was the best investment I ever made," they overcome objections in ways you never could. Gitomer urges you to not just collect written testimonials, but create video testimonials. Take your best customer with you on every sales call, on video. Let them tell your story. Let them provide the proof. So we have the internal mindset, the external preparation, the relationship building, the conversation, and the proof. But Gitomer adds 2 final philosophical principles to tie it all together. The first is antennas up. This is the 6th sense of selling. It's a state of constant awareness, being alert to opportunities everywhere, in an airport line, at a coffee shop, even, as he hilariously recounts, in the men's room at LaGuardia Airport, where he struck up a conversation with actor Hal Linden. It's about paying attention to the world around you, because you never know where your next great connection will come from. And finally, the principle that puts everything into perspective: resign your position as general manager of the universe. What does he mean? Stop wasting your precious time and energy on things you can't control. Stop getting caught up in office gossip, celebrity drama, or political arguments. Every minute you spend in someone else's business is a minute you're not spending on your own success. The path to greatness is focusing intensely on your own world, your attitude, your skills, your family, your goals. This final principle brings you right back to the first one. Kick your own ass. It's a cycle, a success cycle. In the end, the Little Red Book of Selling isn't just about selling. It's about a philosophy of life. It's about taking ownership, providing genuine value, building real relationships, and having fun along the way. It's about creating an atmosphere where people don't just buy from you once, they stay loyal to you. And that's how you create sales forever. As we close the pages of Jeffrey Gitomer's Little Red Book of Selling, what stays with me isn't a list of techniques, but a feeling. It's a feeling of empowerment. It's realizing that success in sales, and maybe in life, isn't about mastering some complex secret formula. It's about mastering the fundamentals. It's about mastering yourself. Gitomer's genius is cutting through the noise. In a world constantly trying to sell us complicated solutions, his message is refreshingly simple. Be a person of value. Be prepared. Be authentic. Be funny. And most of all, believe in yourself so fiercely that you don't need anyone else's approval to do the hard work. The most powerful lesson in this book, for me, is the shift from a mindset of taking to a mindset of giving. The traditional view of sales is a zero-sum game. For me to win, you have to lose. I have to take your money. Gitomer flips this completely. He argues the only way to truly win is to give first. Give your knowledge. Give your help. Give your time. When your primary goal is helping the other person succeed, the sale becomes a natural byproduct, not a battle. It becomes an act of service. This philosophy is timeless because it's built on the bedrock of human nature. We're drawn to people who are genuine, who make us laugh, and who we believe have our best interests at heart. Tactics change, technology evolves, but these truths stay constant. So how can you start putting this wisdom into practice right now, today? Here are 3 simple actions you can take. First, fix your voicemail. Seriously. It's a small thing, but it's a powerful symbol. Change that boring, generic message into something that reflects your personality. Make it creative, make it funny, or make it valuable by offering a quick tip. It's your first step in differentiating yourself from the sea of sameness. Second, for the next week, adopt this mantra: give value first. Before you ask for anything from anyone, a client, a colleague, a friend, ask yourself, what can I give to them first? It could be an article, a useful contact, or just a genuine compliment. Watch how it changes the dynamic of your interactions. And third, resign from one thing. Resign from being the general manager of that one piece of office drama, that one political argument online, or that one celebrity story you've been following. Take the 30 minutes you would have spent on it and invest it back into yourself. Read a chapter of a book, research a potential client, or just sit quietly and think about your goals. Reclaim your focus. That was a summary of The Little Red Book of Selling by Jeffrey Gitomer. We've covered the core principles today, but I'll be honest with you, a summary is like looking at a photograph of a great meal. You can see what it's made of, but you can't taste it. The real magic happens when you read the book yourself. It's in the blunt, funny, and deeply wise way Gitomer tells his stories. This summary is here to help you decide if this book deserves your time. If anything we've talked about has sparked something in you, I encourage you to grab a copy. Reading it isn't just learning, it's an experience that can genuinely change the way you approach your work and your life. The link to the book is in the description. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to click that like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's keep growing together.